Geek Speak show at the 3rd annual FlyCo Mini IndieCon of Flying Colors Comics and other cool stuff. The cool stuff right now, Dan Brereton. Dan, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
So, talk about the new thing that you have that you're showing off today.
Nocturnals is a book I've been working on and off since 1993. The first book came out, actually it must have been before that. The first book came out at the end of 94, and when I wasn't doing mainstream stuff like Superman or Batman or whatever, I would go back to the Nocturnals, the creator-owned work. And so the new book, Nocturnals Sinister Path, we crowdfunded it through Kickstarter about 2 years ago. And it was very successful. It funded the book. It funded me being able to work on the book. And it was great because I wasn't sure how I was going to keep doing a creator-owned book that's painted and takes a long time to do when there weren't publishers who were out there clawing at our door to have us do it for them. It's expensive. It takes a long time. And also I own it. So it's not like Batman where they own all the rights and they keep the lion's share of things. So we had a successful Kickstarter campaign with Enchantress, this book here, my first art book that I did through Kickstarter. And then we did the Nocturnals one about 6 months later. So it finally came out. It's all done. And I'm working on the second one right now. And it's great to be able to do what you want to do.
And when you say it's painted, what do you mean by that exactly?
It's the comic book. The process I use for doing the art is to paint with acrylics and watercolor. So if you can see the interior here.
Hold it there.
So it's something I started doing since the first time I did this was art. I was in art school when I got my first gig with Eclipse Comics back in '88 or something like that. And they, at the time, painted comics were kind of this sort of new sort of novelty niche in comics, and it was very popular. And I was in a small group of comic book creators who did painted art who were willing to do interiors of books because it's a lot of work. And there's not a whole lot of those guys left over. Most of them would prefer to do covers and things like that. And I do covers, but I like telling stories, so I can't keep away from it for very long.
Yeah, speaking of stories, this is obviously not the tights and capes. This is something completely different. We describe it as supernatural, or
it's basically has elements of horror and crime fiction, but it's filtered through a person who grew up reading Marvel Comics. So there aren't capes and cowls and radioactive spiders and things like that, but it does have a lot of the same kind of feel of superhero books, except I think it's a little more hard-boiled in some places because of my love for crime fiction and film noir and things like that. But also I like to draw monsters. Yeah. So for me, telling a story that feels gritty and sort of noir, populated by more fantastic creatures or monsters, is a good fit for me. And it turns out it's a good fit for comics too, because it's been more prevalent in the last 20 years, for sure.
Yeah, and you guys here locally can definitely find it here at Flying Colors, but where else can they find it?
All the Nocturnals catalog is available digitally through Comixology and Amazon and Google Play, and all the digital comics platforms are you can get them that way. Your comic book shops can order them if they don't have them already, and you can come find me on nocturnals.com or Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find on social media.
Yeah, let's end on something kind of fun because we're also celebrating what would have been Jack Kirby's 100th birthday today. So, did he? If he didn't, did he influence you in any way?
Utterly. There's a book that just came out where I wrote a little bit about the first time I was introduced to comics by a friend when I was in grade school. I was 7, I think. And that was the first book that I ever held in my hands, was a Jack Kirby Captain America book. And it completely blew my mind. And when I look at his work, it still does today. So, I mean, I feel like people who are, no matter if you draw superhero comics or not, I think we all owe a huge debt to Jack Kirby, for sure.
Yeah, I always say if you're an artist, even if you somehow don't know who Jack Kirby is, I'm sure you've seen it. You just didn't know it was him.
And you've been influenced, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think his influence is every time you see a Marvel movie, you're seeing Jack in there somewhere. And even just superhero movies in general. He was one of the people who helped invent the superhero form,
Yeah.
the whole genre. So we owe him a huge debt, and also it's just a lot of fun to look at his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I've gotten a different answer from everybody out there, but I mean, for you, how would you describe the Kirby style of Duran?
The Jack Kirby style is pure energy with a pencil.
Yeah.
Just power and energy and this sort of sense of adventure that every single line that he drew it's in every single line, no matter what he was drawing. It's just crackles with energy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Great description right there. So, where do you have social media anywhere you want them to follow you?
Dan Brereton on Facebook, Dan Brereton Illustrator on Instagram. Just type in my name, you'll find me somewhere.
Dan Brereton, Flying Colors Comics, and other cool stuff. Thanks, Dan.
Hey, no problem. Thanks.